Hi there, this is Matt with State of Flux here with a review for Batman, 1966. This is the first Batman feature film that went to theaters that wasn't, one of the serials. And this is a movie that you can have a lot of fun with. I think a lot of people are kind of dismissive of it, and I get that. By modern day standpoint, this is not very Batman. But to an entire generation, this was Batman. So much so that when the 1989 movie was set to come out, there was pushback that Adam West was not the Caped Crusader. And I think in large part that's because Adam West is really good in this role. He has a certain inflection with his voice that is absolutely fantastic. And that really elevates the campy humor of the dynamic duo. You have Robin, who's just brimming with energy, Batman, and everything is coming up on high. But then you have Batman, who has very precise line delivery. And there's Catwoman. Like, his delivery on certain lines is so out of left field, but also so on point for what they're going for with this movie that it's hard not to kind of fall into it. And the unique thing about Batman, this is not the same for Superman. Every filmic interpretation of Batman is a proper representation of some era of Batman comics. During the 1960s, and possibly in part because of this movie, but even if you've read some of those early 60s comics, it has that kind of somewhat campy tone. And it's not a bad interpretation of the source material. It's not as dark or grim as the early stuff, but they're having fun with the concept of a man that dresses up like a bat to fight crime. This is a film also, by the way, that has such reverence for the policing system, which you do not get in a lot of other Batman stories that would come later down the line. But so much so that this film opens up with a praising of the people that go out and help for a living, i.e. your police, your firefighters and all that, the medical people out there. And I think it's funny for a character that is based around a concept of a policing system that is so corrupt that it allowed Gotham to go to such pitiful depths that the movie, the first film interpretation's like, "Thank you, policeman." It's quite amusing. But yeah, Adam West and Burt Ward really help make this movie work, as do exceptional performances from especially Burgess Meredith. Burgess Meredith is phenomenal as the Penguin, and I have always loved Burgess Meredith. I actually got a chance to meet him once. I'm from Minnesota here, and he filmed a couple films here towards the very, very end of his life and did a book signing. And so I actually got to meet Burgess Meredith, which was really, really cool. At the time, I'd only known him as the Penguin, but years down the line, I would discover the Rocky movies and fall in love with the character of Mickey. And but it was really cool. I've got to meet one of the legends of the Batman fold that is no longer around. So I'll take that with me. But Burgess Meredith is fantastic, as is Frank Gorshin as the Riddler. Like Cesar Romero with his little mustache that he would not commit to shaving, so they just painted over, says everything about what this movie's trying to go for. The sense of humor of the movie is also quite fun. Not only are the jokes there in the screenplay and stuff like that all the way through, you have background jokes that are just spectacular. Like, one of the things that I enjoy most about this is reading the labels. Everything is labeled. Everything is labeled in the Bat Mansion and the Bat Cave, everything. And it amuses the hell out of me. And so much so that, like, Batman is clearly a character that needs labels, because when he gets to the UN building at the end of the movie and he's trying to take the elevator, he's reading all the different signs until he finds the one that says up, and then he pushes the button and it goes up. And stuff like that just I find so humorous. There's a lot of fun to be had. However, this is a movie that is probably a little too overlong. It's also structured like 3 episodes of a TV show. So you can find the exact points with which the act break would have been, or the episode would have ended. The first one being when the dolphin swims in front of the oncoming missile from the submarine strike that saves Batman and Robin. That's certainly where the episode 1 would have ended or whatever. But it overstays its welcome a little bit. It goes a little overlong, and almost as if it was designed to be, just a TV show. And so when you have to elongate things, it just kind of stretches the material farther than the elasticity is willing to go. But I still enjoy this movie. It is a 3-star movie. I like what they do. Catwoman is fantastic. I really like Lee Merriweather as Catwoman. Eartha Kitt is great, and who was the first one? I can't remember. But I like what Lee Merriweather's doing in the film. She's really fun. She has this great moment where she's meowing, and then one of the Penguin's crew members is just kind of looking at her, and it's one of the funniest things. But yeah, so it's also refreshing in this day and age to watch a Batman movie specifically that is not grimdark. Yet still have a Batman that's willing to kill people in this, which apparently people are on board with, even though it's, whatever. But there's a moment where Bruce Wayne's like, if anything happens to that woman, I will kill you all. And it's amusing to me that this of all Batman is one that's willing to kill. However, it's not all that special. Literally all the Batmans seem to have killed somebody, blithely, I might add. But yeah, there's not a lot to say. There's a lot of great moments in this, and this is a movie that if you're flipping channels on TV, it's a perfect one to stop on, because you can just watch to a moment that you want to watch and then just keep flipping channels, because that's kind of how it was designed. This is designed as television, right? But some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. And the entire opening 15 minutes is extraordinary. I like the nod in the, being serious for a second, the nod to the old serials that you get with the opening credit sequence. The opening credit sequence, you have the spotlight going to the 3 praises of our policing system, but then it goes to almost old serial footage of Batman and Robin chasing down a criminal in dark back alleys with the red gel or the green gels and stuff on it, and then you see some of the other bad guys here and there throughout the story, and that is very reminiscent of those old serials, which was kind of cool. And then it immediately shifts gears into something completely bonkers, wild, and crazy. You get the Batcopter, and then the shark-repellent bat spray. All that stuff is really quite fun. That's one of my favorite moments of the movie as well. I enjoyed the finally when Batman and Robin fight at the very end of the movie. You get the pow, wham, zockos and stuff like that, and that's always fun. But yeah, you could also tell this isn't necessarily, this is a bigger budget than you got with the TV show, but at the same time, they didn't put that budget anywhere outside of giving us helicopter shots and stuff out at sea. The filmic language of the movie is still quite pedestrian, quite TV of the era, and so it loses its dynamic feel that it probably should have. But this is a time before making these impressive action feats shot well to make it feel like comic book really would come to be. We would get that with our next DC superhero outing, which would be 12 years later. But as this is a perfect encapsulation of the 3-season TV show. Brimming with humor, brimming with color, brimming with fun characters, great moments. it feels like it's overstretched, so that's why I only give it 3 stars, but you'll have a good time if you're willing to go with it. However, if this is not the Batman you're used to, this might be something that is very off-putting. The very first time I saw this, I didn't even know there was an old Batman TV show. I was like 9, and I just had my teeth pulled out, and my mom wanted to cheer me up, so she went to Target and bought me a Batman movie because she knew how much I liked Batman. And so I was assuming she was getting me Batman Forever, because I'd recently seen that movie in the theater, and it was at like the Dollar Theater by that point, so I thought it was out on VHS, and I was excited to watch it, and she brought this one, and I was like, huh, I don't even know what this is, and I put it in, and I'm like, what is happening? This is not Batman at all, and so I just found it very off-putting, and I didn't pick it up again for about 10 years before I revisited, and then it was only then that I found that I enjoyed the energy of it, and maybe it was because by that point I'd seen Batman and Robin, and it's not a lot dissimilar from it, so I dipped my toe into the campy feel once more, but yeah, I think I've said all I need to say about Batman. What do you think of this movie? I think it has a lot of hardcore fans, and I support that, but it also has a lot of hardcore detractors because of this isn't the Batman they're used to. But I'm going to say it again. No filmic interpretation of Batman has been off. Every one of them, all the different Batmen, have been pretty, like, similar to an era of Batman comics. And Batman has changed so much throughout the comics that you can certainly latch onto one and say, yes, this is the Batman that I love. But that goes so far in as much as even the great Alan Moore, one of the greatest comic book writers of all time, who wrote one of the most important Batman stories ever written, says that the truest Batman that has ever been put on screen is Adam West. And this Batman movie specifically is the one that got it the most right. Alan Moore also disowns the Killing Joke, for which he is much praised. He disowned it apparently months after he finished writing it, and that's something that he's pretty negative on, because he shouldn't have ever written that, he feels. Which is weird, because that's what the Joker movie is somewhat inspired by, and various other Batman memes. But there you have it. Anyway, I went off on a side tangent there. This Batman, even though it is so dissimilar from what we have gotten in the past 15 years of Batman, has a certain place, because this is the true Batman for a certain era of comic books and a certain generation of fans. And I get it. It's a fun movie. So what did you think of this movie? Let me know in the comments down below, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and peace.